Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel. Today we are joined by Mr. Che, who is a science teacher at a local regional school in Australia. He's been teaching science for the last 7 years, and he has been. We have brought him to this studio to share his ideas about politics and education. Welcome, Mr. Che. Hello, I'm Mr. Che. Yes, thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts. I think there's a lot of things that are going wrong in the world. Yes, so can you share what is the relationship between politics and education? Yes, you could say they both share a vision. The vision for continuing on our civilization, a vision for a more fair and equitable society, and for development of technology, a future technology that will benefit not just humans, but every living thing in this planet. Okay, so they both have this vision. Now, can you tell us what similarities are there between politics and education? Yes, well, there are some challenges. So both politics and education are facing great challenges at this time. They both must play a catch-up game, and they both offer us a solution in the way that we need to customize and personalize the delivery of politics and education. Okay, so there's some very interesting things you have mentioned there. We'll take one, break it down one at a time. So can you tell us what the challenges facing the, say, politics of New Zealand and Australia? Yes, in terms of politics, I see the different parties across Australia and New Zealand, and I think they mainly agree on lots of things. The left and the right, I don't really see much difference there. I think the people normally think that if you vote the right wing is if you are pro-business, and you know it favors the rich people already, and if you vote for the left, it's you are sort of wanting to support those who are sort of more vulnerable in society, and helps the unions, you know, ask for more better working conditions, you know, the sort of the labor, sort of the working class movement. Yes, that is right. So can you tell us about what is happening in New Zealand and Australia? I mean, both governments are of the Labour Party. Yes, I think, yes, the indigenous people, I think mainly they're sort of supporting these left parties, the Labour parties, because I guess most of them are sort of the marginalized, disadvantaged, you know, the vulnerable, economically and socially vulnerable people. So at the moment, they in Australia, they're pushing for the voice to Parliament. What is this voice to Parliament? Yes, well, I've been teaching here for the last 2 years, and at the moment I don't have the voting rights, so I cannot vote in this upcoming referendum in September. But basically, it is asking, if you vote yes, it means you would like the government in Canberra to acknowledge the indigenous voice. So the indigenous people will come together and appoint people in their advisory body, much like what they have in New Zealand with the Maori Council, something like that, basically to channel the voices of the indigenous people into the Australian Parliament more effectively than what can be done now. And it's more of a recognition. So why do you vote yes? Why not no? Well, I'm voting. Well, I don't have a vote, but if I was to vote, I would vote yes, because I think when you vote no, it says something more about your fears and insecurities, and I think people have legitimate fears regarding this, because if this goes ahead, and then what next? What next? Like it could be treaty. It could be something else later on. Basically, the indigenous rights, they're asking more and more and more, So I think there is that divisiveness. Whenever culture, race comes to the surface, people's conversation, it can be very divisive. So people, I think, are not very happy in general that this is becoming a political game. But I think I'm supporting it because it is I think it's important, and it's not going to be the sort of the fear that people think that will happen. And I think self-determination is also important. And I think that's the way of the future. So what I say when I say the vision and the solution was to customize, to localize, to personalize, this is part of that journey. I don't think it's to destabilize. People are not trying to destabilize the current, establishment, the form of government, democracy. No. I don't think that is happening. Okay, so in your view, this is a way to progress the sort of the cultural and racial reconciliation in Australia. Finally, it's happening, hopefully there. In New Zealand, what do you think? Well, I think in New Zealand, yes, it's been happening, and it will continue to happen, and it will continue to be in the politics. At the expense of the economy, at the expense of developing the New Zealand industry, the backbone, which is the farmers. You can see there's a clear divide between the National and the Labour, who's supporting who. So yes, I think there is a consensus that the sort of the inequality, the inequity, the discrepancy, the gap between the two different groups are not closing, and that is a concern. But to address it, I don't think any one party has the right solution. I think it needs to be bipartisan support. Like, needs to come together. Everyone needs to come together to solve this issue. Why do you think it's so hard to solve this political, social issue? Well, like we can talk about what happens in Africa. We give aid to them, but what is the outcome? Actually, the people do not actually come out of poverty. It's you form this sort of elite at the top, whether it's military or dictator family. So I think politics is behind. That's why I think people need to make sure that the politics is catching up. What do you mean by the politics is behind and needs to catch up? Well, if you take the example of Korea, you see the companies, multinational companies like Samsung, who are way ahead of the game, and then the government is very behind. So that's what I mean. But I hear that the Korean politics sometimes see these rich company family, chaebol, and they demonize them as causing this huge gap in inequality. Yes, I mean that is a valid point, and in Korea we don't have the sort of the culture or the race war, but there is the class sort of and the regional divide there. But I think in some ways people, with the likes of Ahn Cheol-soo, people are beginning to think that we need to catch up. The government need to catch up in pushing forward this, moving forward this technology. The Korea, the industries need to embrace. Yes. So yes, we've been talking about the New Zealand and Australian and Korean politics. What's happening in America? Well, you see that there's a big problem in education at the moment where students are not interested in the public education. What the public education has to offer is not really relevant. Why is that? Why are students not engaging with the learning? And what are sort of the struggles there? Yes, the challenge is that teachers and educators know that we need to teach them science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM subjects. That's what's driving the industries of the future. But students find that really hard because they're not rigorously engaging in it. Could be due to literacy or cultural things, like you see Maori students, they're not engaging, for example, because maybe it's not in their tradition of knowledge making. So the curriculum can sometimes change to accommodate their needs better, and you see the opposing side saying we need to teach the physics, biology, and chemistry. We cannot just teach them about climate change, for example. But I think the important thing is that what students are interested in, and then trying to teach according to that. I think that is called personalization. Okay, so you're saying that students are not engaging because the STEM subjects are quite difficult. Do we still need to teach that? Yes, I think so, because like I said, we can't just burn books. They'll be going back in our civilization. To move forward in our civilization, which I said at the beginning is both the vision of the politics and education, we need to teach them what we've been teaching so far, but maybe in a different way, maybe without burning books, without burning knowledge. And I think one way to do that is to incorporate more culture into it. It's not either or game. I think we can do both better. So you're saying in education that the challenges are there of STEM and culture, but instead of being against each other, you kind of like have them together. Yes, I think that is the catch up that the education needs to do. That we normally very behind, lagging behind the times, and we need to be more accountable to our students by teaching them the STEM, because that's gonna be what's getting them the jobs in the future. But also culture is important, not to neglect it. Okay, so in America, what is happening? Well, I think a lot of people are finding that the system is culturally divided, that things like positive affirmation, they're trying to get rid of it to give unequal favoritism towards the minorities. The Republicans at least are trying to get rid of race from the debate, which I think is not the right way to go. Why do you think that? Why do you think that race is still relevant in America? Well, I think, like I said, you can both teach students to become like Elon Musk, to build SpaceX, to work for SpaceX, and to send people to Mars. That's the vision. That's going forward, moving our human civilization forward. You can still do that while teaching them culture, to appreciate culture and diversity, not at this expense by sacrificing culture. No, I don't think that needs to happen. Okay, so I guess your idea of education is a bit more clear now. What's happening in the politics? Yes, I mean, the America is also very divisive in the sort of international stage, where they have declared a chip war, so the semiconductor between US and China, and who will gain the dominance over AI technology, which the semiconductors is an integral part. I think it can be distracting because you're not really rooting for one side, but yeah, these multinational companies will continue to innovate, and I think each government need to have the education system to make sure that there are people there with the right knowledge to carry on the work. And also when it comes to UNDRIP, which is the United Nations for Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples, things like voice that I talked about earlier, these things can be supported and worked within the frame of democracy, not at the fear of destabilizing the current status quo. I think we still need to innovate, and that is my argument, or my solution is that despite these challenges, these conflict between STEM or culture or multinational corporations or this UNDRIP, we need to both politics and educations are lagging behind the times. We need to catch up. To do that, it means we need to innovate. These companies are already innovating, but people who are in politics and education, we are sometimes sleeping. So we need to innovate. And for that, it means for politicians, they need to customize their governance, the way they govern, incorporate these indigenous voice. What's wrong? Co-governance, maybe we're not ready for it, but at some point it will be, So make sure you customize to the local, national level, but carry on with the democratic institutions. There's the risk of bureaucracy, but I think that's what will happen in the political domain. In terms of educational world, we need to, as I say, personalize. We need to innovate by personalizing our teaching to our students, and make sure that they're interested in what we're doing. And I think by doing that, by innovating, they will see us as the role model of innovation, and they can innovate and carry on our vision for the world. Thank you very much for your insight, Mr. Che. It's been a pleasure having you in our discussion of politics and education, and I hope all the best for your education and political journey. Yes, thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed talking about what I've been thinking about, and yes, so one last thing, yes, there's basically we in the education and so people in politics, we are lagging behind, and we need to innovate this system of that are made up of people. Industries, they can deal with making things, manufacturing things, not people, and they always have done and will be doing for the benefit of everyone. However, the politics that govern them and the education that supply those people with the right knowledge, we also need to innovate with the times, and we should continue to do so and carry on our mission. and realize our vision and dream. Thank you.